Commander Susan Bell stood by the large window of the Harmony station, watching the stars. Her dark blue uniform felt tight around her neck today. 3 weeks of talks with the aliens had led nowhere. She turned as the door to the meeting room slid open with a hiss. The Zolaxian diplomats stormed out, their forearms moving in angry gestures. Their skin, normally a calm blue, now pulsed with angry red patterns. The tallest one, Ambassador Zex, gave Susan a cold look before moving past her. "That went well," said Admiral Frank Carter as he walked out of the room. He was an older man with gray at his temples and deep lines around his eyes from years of difficult decisions. Susan sighed. What happened in there? Frank removed his formal cap and ran a hand through his short hair. "We gave them our final offer. Either they let us mine in the Arcturus belt, or Earth pulls out of all treaties. And they refused. They didn't even consider it. Just started yelling about human aggression and disrespect for tradition." Frank moved to the window beside her. "They never planned to give us anything, Susan. Their whole economy depends on controlling those minerals." Susan watched as the Zolaxian ship detached from the station dock. Its engines glowed bright blue as it moved away. "So what happens now?" "Now we do what we said we would." Frank tapped his communication device. "This is Admiral Carter. Send the withdrawal codes to all human ships in joint patrol zones. Operation Shadow begins in 6 hours." Within minutes, news traveled across the galaxy at light speed. On thousands of worlds, beings of all shapes and sizes watched their screens with growing fear. "Humans abandon peace talks," read the headline on the Galactic News Network. A 6-armed news anchor with compound eyes looked worried as she spoke. "Human ships are withdrawing from all joint security operations. The Galactic Council has called an emergency meeting." Back on the station, Susan and Frank boarded their ship, the Defender. The crew worked quickly, preparing for departure. "Captain, we're receiving messages from 17 different species," said Communications Officer Ben Board. "They're all asking for explanations or making threats." "Ignore them," Frank ordered. "Set course for Earth." As the Defender pulled away from the station, Susan looked at the tactical display. Already, human ships across the galaxy were pulling back from their positions. To the watching aliens, it looked like retreat. Only humans knew the truth. On the planet Zolax Prime, the Galactic Council gathered in their Great Hall. Representatives from 30 species argued loudly. "The humans are being unreasonable," shouted the Zolaxian High Commander. His mandibles clicked in frustration. "They demand access to resources that have always been under Council control." A tall, thin alien with gray skin raised her 3-fingered hand. "But we do depend on human food exports. If they close their borders, 12 systems will face shortages." "They are bluffing," insisted the Zolaxian. "Humans need our trade routes. They cannot survive alone." In a small office near the Council chamber, Council Representative Mira Valdez, the only human present, watched the debate on a screen. She knew better than to join in. No one would listen to her now. The aliens thought they understood humans, but they were wrong. Humans didn't give up. They planned. On Earth, in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Olivia Wright studied a large holographic map. It showed human ships retreating across the galaxy. "All units report ready, General," said her assistant. Olivia nodded. "Tell them to activate phase shift technology when they reach their fallback positions. It's time to show the galaxy why you should never corner humans." As night fell across Earth, millions of humans went about their lives, unaware of the precision military operation unfolding above them. They didn't know that their apparent withdrawal from galactic politics wasn't surrender. It was just the first move in a game the aliens didn't know they were playing. 6 months earlier, engineer Olivia Wright stood in a cold room deep under the red surface of Mars. Her hand shook slightly as 50 military officers watched her. This was the most important presentation of her life. "Project Umbra is no longer just an idea," she said, pointing to the large screen behind her. It showed a small ship that seemed to flicker and fade. then become solid again. We have tested the phase shift technology on unmanned ships, and it works perfectly. General Peter Dawson sat in the front row. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes never left the screen. He had fought aliens in the First Contact War 20 years ago. He still had a scar across his cheek from that time. "So these ships become invisible?" he asked. Olivia shook her head. Her short brown hair moved with emotion. "Not just invisible, sir. Better than that. They shift partly out of our dimension. They exist half in our space and half elsewhere." "And weapons?" asked another officer. "Can't hit what isn't fully here," Olivia said with a small smile. "Enemy weapons passed through our ships when their phase shifted." The room stayed quiet for a long moment. These officers knew what this meant. Humans had just changed the rules of space warfare. Now, 6 months later, Lieutenant Greg Foster sat at his control station on the moon. On his screen, he watched as hundreds of human ships received their new phase shift equipment. The ships were in hidden docks, away from alien spy satellites. His commander walked up behind him. "How long until the fleet is ready?" Greg checked his data. "The last upgrades will be done in 12 hours, sir. Then all our major ships will have phase shift capability." "Good. The aliens think we're backing down, running away." The commander smiled. "They have no idea what's coming." On the main human military base on Mars, workers moved quickly. They loaded special missiles onto ships and installed new computer systems. The base was deep underground, safe from watching eyes. Captain Diane Russell walked through the busy hallways of her ship, the Defiance. Her crew worked at their stations, checking systems and running tests on their new equipment. "Captain, we just got our orders," said her second-in-command, handing her a datapad. Diane read the screen and nodded. "Tell the crew we leave in 2 hours. We're heading to the Arcturus Belt, the mining area. That's what started this whole conflict." "Yes," said Diane. "And now we're going to take it back." Across human space, similar scenes played out. Ships prepared for a mission no one outside the military knew about. While the news talked about humans retreating from alien territories, the reality was very different. In his office on Earth, President Joe Miller looked out at the night sky. He could see the lights of ships moving in orbit above the planet. "Are you sure this is the right move?" asked his advisor. "The Galactic Council has 3 times our number of ships." "Numbers don't matter anymore," Joe said quietly. "For too long, we've played by their rules. We've tried to be good members of their galactic community. And what has it gotten us? They take our resources, block our expansion, and treat us like children." He turned away from the window. "The Council needs to learn that humans aren't just another species they can push around. Sometimes, you have to show strength before others will listen to you." On the edge of human space, the Defiance and 20 other ships activated their engines. Their mission would begin the largest coordinated military action in human history. But to the rest of the galaxy, it looked like humans were simply going home, giving up after failed peace talks. They couldn't have been more wrong. The Galactic Security Council met in their grand hall on the capital planet. Tall windows showed the purple sky outside. Representatives from 27 alien species sat around the huge circular table. Selaxian High Commander Vrext stood to speak. His 4 arms moved in sharp gestures as his blue skin flashed with confident patterns. "The humans are bluffing," he said, his mandibles clicking together. "Their withdrawal from peace talks is just a trick to get better terms." Around the table, many representatives nodded in agreement. "Our reports show their ships returning to Earth space," continued Vrex. "Their military cannot work alone. They need our trading routes and supply stations." At the far end of the table sat Council Representative Mira Valdez. She was the only human in the room. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, and her face showed nothing. She knew speaking would be useless. These aliens had always underestimated humans. "Perhaps we should consider their demands," said a tall, thin representative from the Quaxel Banking Consortium. Our markets are already showing signs of panic. Human agricultural exports feed many outer worlds. Vrex's skin flashed red with anger. Give in to them now, and they will only want more later. We must stay firm. The council voted to reject human demands, again. Mira sighed quietly. These aliens had been in space for thousands of years. They thought they knew everything. They saw humans as the new, young species that needed to learn its place. They were making a dangerous mistake. After the meeting, Mira walked to her small office. A message waited for her, encoded and secure. It was from Earth Command. 2 words. Coming home. She understood. It was time to leave before things started. Across council space, signs of trouble grew. On trading planets, prices for human goods doubled, then tripled. Banks issued emergency loans to systems that depended on human food. On the luxury planet Pneumonico, rich aliens hurried to sell their properties and leave. No one knew what would happen next, but many feared war. Meanwhile, the Earth ship Defiance moved silently at the edge of human space. Commander Diane Russell read her new orders carefully. Operation Checkmate begins in 6 hours, she told her crew. All systems check. Make sure the phase shift technology is working perfectly. Her second-in-command, Jack Perry, looked nervous. The aliens have 5 patrol ships in that sector, all heavily armed. Diane smiled slightly. They won't see us coming. In the ship's engine room, Chief Engineer Maria Scott checked the new phase shift drive one last time. The glowing blue core hummed with power. This beauty will make us like ghosts, she told her team. We'll slide right past their defenses. At the Central Command on Earth, General Olivia Wright looked at the large map showing ship positions across the galaxy. Human vessels were in position around all their targets. The Council thinks we're retreating, she said to her staff. They've always thought humans were predictable, too emotional, too direct. She zoomed in on the Arcturus belt, where the valuable mining stations operated. These stations were officially neutral territory, but the Zelaxians had slowly taken control of them, pushing human miners out. Let's show them how wrong they are. Back in the council chambers, an emergency alert sounded. A young aide ran in, interrupting the ongoing debate. Urgent reports from multiple sectors, he said, his voice shaking. Strange readings at the edges of our detection systems. Something is happening, but sensors can't get clear data. High Commander Vrex dismissed the concern. Probably just sensor errors. The humans are going home with their tails between their legs. At that exact moment, 23 human ships activated their phase shift technology and disappeared from all alien tracking systems. The trap was set. The aliens suspected nothing, and humans were about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Arcturus mining station hung in space like a giant metal spider. Its long arms reached out to the asteroid belt around it, pulling in rocks full of valuable minerals. Bright lights shone from its windows, and small transport ships moved around it like busy insects. Security Chief Alan Cox walked through the main control room, checking screens and talking to his team. He was the only human left on the station. All the other human workers had been forced to leave in the past year as Zelaxian managers took over. Quiet shift today, said his Trilaxian deputy, Krell. The alien had green scaly skin and 4 eyes that blinked in different patterns. Alan nodded. Too quiet. After those peace talks failed, I expected something to. Suddenly, alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed across the control room. Krell jumped to the main sensor screen. Proximity alert. Unidentified vessels at coordinates 227.35. That's impossible, Alan said, looking at the screen. There's nothing out there but empty space. But the alarms kept ringing. And then, appearing out of nowhere, 3 human military ships materialized just 1,000 meters from the station. They had bypassed all the outer defenses without triggering a single alarm. How did they get so close? Krell shouted, his 4 eyes wide with fear. They weren't there a second ago. Before anyone could react, precise energy beams shot from the human ships. They hit the station's defense systems with perfect accuracy. In 10 seconds, all the station's weapons were disabled. Not a single person was hurt. The largest human ship moved closer to the station. Its communication system activated, and a woman's voice came through on all station channels. "This is Captain Lisa Nelson of the Earth Defense Fleet vessel Horizon. The Arcturus mining station is now under Earth protection. All personnel will continue their normal work under temporary human administration. This is not an act of war, but enforcement of the Arcturus Neutrality Agreement that the Galactic Council has failed to uphold." Alan couldn't help smiling. So this was what Earth had been planning. The station manager, a senior Zalaxian named Orcs, burst into the control room. "What is happening? How did they get past our defenses?" "I think," Alan said slowly, "that humans just changed the rules of the game." At that same moment, on 12 other mining and industrial stations across disputed territories, the exact same scene was playing out. Human ships appeared from nowhere, disabled defenses with surgical precision, and took control without a single casualty. Aboard the Horizon, Captain Lisa Nelson watched as boarding teams entered the Arcturus station. Everything was going according to plan. "All targets secured," reported her tactical officer. "No resistance at any location. Defense systems neutralized." "Casualties?" Lisa asked, though she already knew the answer. "Zero, Captain. Just as planned." Lisa nodded and opened a channel to Earth Command. Phase 1 complete. Operation Checkmate proceeding on schedule. In the Earth Command Center, General Olivia Wright received the reports from all teams. Every target had been secured exactly as planned. The aliens had never seen the ships coming until they were already there. "The phase shift technology worked perfectly," she told the president. "We now control all key mining and industrial facilities in the disputed regions." President Joe Miller looked at the strategic map showing the newly secured locations. "And the council?" In complete panic, Olivia said with a small smile. "They've never seen anything like this. Their sensors couldn't detect our ships. Their weapons couldn't target them. We were like ghosts." The president nodded slowly. "Now we wait for their call. They'll want to talk. On our terms this time," Olivia added. Across the galaxy, the news spread at the speed of light. Human forces had taken control of key facilities without firing a single lethal shot. The impossible had happened. And this was just the beginning. The Galactic News Network broke into all regular broadcasts across the 37 connected species planets. The purple-skinned anchor with 4 arms looked noticeably nervous as she spoke. "Breaking news. Human forces have seized control of key mining and industrial facilities across 3 sectors. Reports confirm that 15 strategic locations are now under human military control. The Council's emergency session continues as military alerts reach unprecedented levels. On the luxury world of New Monaco, wealthy aliens rush to the spaceports. Banking executive Zorg, a tall blue alien with diamond-encrusted skin patches, pushed his way to the front of the line. "I'll pay triple for immediate departure," he shouted at the ticket agent. Around him, others offered similar deals. No one wanted to stay near human space. The Galactic Stock Exchange suspended all trading after values dropped by 30% in just 2 hours. Economic experts warned of potential collapse if human trade routes remained closed. Inside the Council military headquarters, strategist Krell paced back and forth. His 6 legs moved quickly across the polished floor as he studied the reports coming in from all sectors. "This is impossible," he muttered to his team. "The humans couldn't have done this. Their fleet movements were all tracked. Our monitoring stations detected nothing." His assistant, a small green alien with large eyes, looked up from her screen. "Sir, we have reports that the human ships appeared out of nowhere. No warning, no sensor readings. They were just suddenly there." "That defies all known physics," Krell said. "Check the sensor logs again." Sir, all logs showed the same thing. Empty space 1 second, human warships the next. In Earth's Pacific Command Center, General Samantha Hughes watched the incoming reports with satisfaction. Holographic displays showed all 15 targets marked in green. Phase 1 complete, she announced to her staff. All targets secured with 0 casualties, minimal resistance encountered. Her intelligence officer approached with a datapad. General, our monitoring systems show panic spreading across Council space. Their markets are in free fall. Military vessels are being recalled to defend core worlds. Samantha nodded. Exactly as predicted. Has the Council requested communication yet? Not yet, but 17 individual species have sent private messages asking for talks. On the main view screen, a live feed showed President Joe Miller walking to a podium to address humanity. Billions of people across Earth and human colonies watched as he began to speak. Citizens of Earth and our colonies, today we have taken necessary action to protect our interests after exhausting all diplomatic options. For too long, the Galactic Council has ignored our legitimate concerns while allowing Zolaxian interests to push humans out of neutral territory. He paused, his expression serious but calm. I want to be clear. We remain committed to peaceful coexistence with all species. Our actions today were carefully planned to avoid casualties. Not a single life was lost in our operations. Our goal is not conquest or domination, but equality and respect. As he spoke, human military ships maintained their positions around the captured facilities. Their phase shift technology remained active, making them partially visible, flickering in and out of normal space as a constant reminder of humanity's new advantage. In her private quarters on the Council homeworld, Representative Mira Valdez packed her bags. A secure message had arrived, instructing her to be ready for evacuation. Something big was coming. She looked out her window at the alien city below. For years, she had tried to make them understand humans, to respect humans, but they never listened. Now they had no choice. Across the galaxy, different species reacted differently to the human action. Some called for immediate military response. Others suggested accepting human demands. Many simply watched in fear, wondering what this strange species would do next. What none of them yet understood was that humans hadn't abandoned peace. They had just changed the rules. 2 weeks after the coordinated human strikes, a Council diplomatic ship approached the human vessel Concord, which waited at the edge of disputed space. The sleek silver Council ship moved cautiously, surrounded by 6 military escorts. Inside the Concord's meeting room, Ambassador Ryan Garcia straightened his blue formal jacket. At 55, with gray at his temples, he had spent most of his career trying to make aliens understand humans. "They're docking now, sir," said his aide. Ryan nodded. "Remember, no apologies. We did what was necessary." The Council representatives entered the room 15 minutes later. Leading them was the Zolaxian diplomat Senmar, his blue skin showing angry red patterns. Behind him came representatives from 6 other major species, all looking tense. Ryan smiled warmly. "Welcome, representatives. We appreciate your willingness to meet." Senmar's 4 arms moved in sharp, aggressive gestures. "Your actions are unprecedented violations of Council law. You must return control of the seized facilities immediately." "Please, sit down," Ryan said, still smiling. "Before we discuss terms, I believe a demonstration is in order." The aliens looked at each other nervously, but followed Ryan to the observation deck. Through the large windows, they could see only empty space and distant stars. Ryan touched a control panel. "Captain Kim, please begin the demonstration." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like ghosts materializing from nowhere, 5 large human warships appeared less than a kilometer from the Concorde. They seemed to flicker, sometimes solid, sometimes transparent. The aliens gasped. Senmar's skin turned pale blue with shock. "What you're witnessing is just one of several technologies we've developed but kept private," Ryan explained calmly. "We call it phase shift technology. Our ships can exist partially outside normal space. The ships disappeared again, then reappeared in different positions. We could have targeted your military bases or government centers, Ryan continued. Instead, we chose the most precise, non-lethal option available. Chief Engineer Maria Jackson, a woman with dark skin and tight curly hair, stepped forward. The phase shift makes our ships nearly impossible to detect or target. Your weapons would pass right through them when they're shifted. She activated a holographic display showing diagrams of the technology. Not enough to reveal how it worked, but enough to prove it was real. How long have you had this capability? Asked a tall, thin alien representative. Long enough, Ryan replied. But we're not interested in war. We're offering to share certain applications of this technology for peaceful purposes. The council representatives exchanged alarmed glances. The reptilian Drax representative leaned toward Senmar and whispered, "They could have attacked anywhere, anytime. We would never have seen them coming." Ryan led them back to the meeting room. "Now let's discuss new terms for the Arcturus region and beyond. We propose a fair sharing of resources and joint administration of key facilities." He placed a data pad on the table, showing a detailed proposal. "You expect us to agree to these terms under threat?" Senmar asked, but his voice lacked conviction. "Not under threat," Ryan corrected. "Under the new reality. Humans are not leaving the galactic community. We're simply insisting on equal treatment." As the aliens began reading the proposal, Ryan looked out the window at the stars. For years, humans had been treated as newcomers, as lesser beings who should be grateful for whatever scraps the Council offered them. That time was over. The revelation of human technological advancement had changed everything. Now the aliens understood what they had failed to grasp before. Humans didn't lack power. They had been choosing restraint. And that was perhaps the most frightening revelation of all. 1 month later, Commander Susan Bell stood on the observation deck of the Harmony Station. Below her, the new Arcturus Accords were being signed. She watched as Admiral Frank Carter guided alien representatives through the document. "Did you ever think we'd end up here when we walked away from those talks?" she asked as Frank joined her later. He looked out at the stars. "Sometimes you have to show strength before others will listen to reason." The signing ceremony was being broadcast across the galaxy. 27 different species had sent representatives to put their marks on the new agreement. The document acknowledged humanity's right to the disputed territories, but included fair profit sharing with other species. Most importantly, it established a framework for technological exchange under principles of equal benefit. In the Grand Council chamber, the mood was different from a month ago. The aliens spoke quietly, with respect in their voices when they mentioned humans. Zelaxian High Commander Vrex, who had once dismissed humans as weak, now stood stiffly as he addressed the council. "The Arcturus Accords represent a new chapter in galactic relations. We welcome human innovation," and he paused, the words clearly difficult for him. "Recognize Earth as a full and equal partner in the galactic community." Across human space, military vessels began returning to normal operations. The phase shift technology remained classified, but in secure facilities, human scientists worked with selected alien partners on sharing safe applications of the technology. Earth's stock markets reached record highs as new investment poured in from alien businesses eager to partner with human innovation. Trade routes reopened, with new and better terms for human merchants. On a small hill outside the rebuilt First Contact Memorial in Geneva, President Joe Miller and his wife walked slowly, enjoying the spring air. "The Council approved the last part of the agreement today," he told her. "Human representatives will have full voting rights on all committees." "All because we were willing to walk away," she said. Joe nodded. "And because we had something in our back pocket." He looked up at the night sky, where invisible ships with incredible technology protected human interests. "But we used that power carefully. That's the important part." In the Galactic Council chambers, a new human ambassador, Nicole Green, took her seat, now as a full voting member rather than just an observer. At 35, She was the youngest ambassador of any species, but her confident manner made the aliens listen when she spoke. Humans don't see the galaxy as a place to conquer, she told the council in her first address. We see it as a place to build together. All we ever wanted was to be treated as equals. The Quaxel representative, an old and respected leader, nodded slowly. Perhaps that is the lesson we needed to learn. True strength is not in domination, but in knowing when to show power and when to offer peace. Across the galaxy, life gradually returned to normal. On trade worlds, human and alien merchants haggled over prices. In research centers, scientists of different species shared ideas. In border areas, patrol ships from multiple worlds worked together to keep shipping lanes safe. But something fundamental had changed. The other species now understood an important truth about humans. Their apparent withdrawal from diplomacy hadn't been surrender or blind aggression. It had been a calculated move to create a more fair relationship with their galactic neighbors. As Susan Bell boarded her ship for her next assignment, she looked back at the Harmony station, where it had all started. "New orders, Commander?" asked her pilot. Susan smiled. "Yes, we're heading to the edge of known space. Exploration mission." That was the thing about humans that aliens were still learning. Once one challenge was met, humans immediately looked for the next frontier. The galaxy would never be the same again, and that was a good thing.